Now let's look at one more example of how to solve a quadratic using a quadratic formula. So I hope by now you kind of get a sense what the quadratic formula looks like. So let's remember what that is. That's minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now I know that's something you feel like, do I have to memorize that? Yeah, because it's one of those things that would be good for you to use as you're working through this series. Do I memorize it? Actually, I don't know if I memorize it or not. I know every so often I go through and I come up with the quadratic formula. So if I know how to derive it, then I don't really need to know how to memorize it. But I think it's locked in the gears somewhere. So I probably do have it memorized. So I need to identify what are the A, B's, and C's. Well, can't do that with this equation because it's not written in standard form. So let's write it in standard form. That's 3x squared plus a 4x plus a 2 equals a 0. And then from there I can determine what my A, the B, and the C are. A would be 3, that's this term right there. That's the coefficient to the x squared term. The B is the coefficient to the linear term, which is just the x, and the C is that constant. So if I'm able to identify those, then it's just a matter of plug and play. So minus B, and I'm going to put parentheses around that total value. That's just a good habit to be in. Plus or minus, it's a 4 squared minus a 4 times a 3 times a 2 all over 2 times 3. So there's the plug and play, and let's just start reducing that down and see where it takes us. Negative 4 plus or minus, I got a 16, take away 4 times 3 times 2, which is a 24. I think that's correct. Divided by a 6. All right, I'm starting to see what might happen here. Are you a step ahead of me? I hope so. So negative 4 plus or minus, yep, here it is, a negative 8 all over a 6. So we have a solution, or it looks like we're moving towards a solution that's within the complex realm here. So we got to deal with this negative 8 as we simplify that. So how do we simplify the square root of negative 8? Well, let's go to my workplace right here. So the square root of negative 8, I'm going to rewrite that as the square root of negative 1 times the square root of 4 times the square root of 2. My habit of just taking a term or a number and just breaking it all up into any factors of perfect squares. So negative 1 becomes an I. Square root of 4 is a 2. And I have the square root of 2 left. So let's kind of put that into our solution here. So this is a negative 4 plus or minus 2I root 2 all over a 6. And from there, it looks like I have a 2 that can factor out of the numerator and the denominator. So my final solution is negative 2 plus or minus I root 2 all over a 3. And I can't clean it up any further. There's my two solutions, negative 2 plus I root 2 over 3, and the negative 2, here, let's write those out. So one solution is 2 plus I root 2 over 3, and the other solution is negative 2 minus I root 2 over 3. And again, you're right, maybe some people do write it with the I in the other way. So root 2 with an I on the outside over 3, and negative 2 minus root 2 with the I on the other side. And make sure when you're inputting answers or doing it that this I is not underneath the radical. So there's the two solutions. That's how we can use the quadratic equation, the quadratic formula, to solve a quadratic expression that has what appears to be complex solutions.